The morning after the Scottish Government budget was released, BBC Scotland's flagship morning news programme, Good Morning Scotland, broadcast a review of that day's newspaper headlines. It was overwhelmingly critical of the budget and the SNP.
The Scotsman has a picture of Hamza Yousaf and Shona Robertson heading into the Holyrood Chamber. Tax uncut is their headline. Robertson warned budget will harm ability to attract talent. Thousands are dragged into the higher bracket with the new tax band. The Daily Record, all pain, no gain, is how they see it. The front page of the Express, nightmare SNP Christmas budget for thousands of Scots. The Daily Telegraph's looking at the tax implications. Scotland braced for triple blow on taxation.
Yeah, the Times, thousands pay more tax in chaotic Yousaf budget is their headline. And the Herald fears as Robertson targets high earners in tax sting.
The practice of reading out politically motivated newspaper headlines happens every day on Good Morning Scotland. Here's how the next day's review began.
Let's start with the Times. Higher taxes are forcing workers to move south is their headline. They say doctors are quitting the NHS and financial service workers are choosing England rather than Scotland because of higher tax rates.
Scotsman's led with that story as well. Workers already choose England because of tax.
These headlines are almost always anti-SNP or anti-independence. This isn't surprising, given every newspaper in Scotland, bar one, is pro-union. The headlines aren't read out in random order either. They are deliberately ordered with anti-SNP front pages read out first.
Time for a quick look through the front pages of the papers. I'll start with the Scottish Daily Mail. Scotland run like a tin pot dictatorship. Nicola Sturgeon was accused of heading a corrupt administration and was forced to go on the defensive.
And as we look at the morning papers, let's start with the Telegraph. I just mentioned the story about the parking levy. SNP no-cap parking fee will terrify business.
Scottish Daily Mail's gone with this story as well. Fashion your seatbelts for SNP's poll tax on wheels. The Times has this on the front page too. SNP risks recovery by uncapping parking fees.
Let's have a quick gallop through the papers, shall we? Scotsman and the Express this morning, both leading on the same story. Scots civil servants under scrutiny as Nicola Sturgeon faces growing pressure to reallocate the £20 million earmarked for work on a second independence referendum this year.
The Scottish Daily Mail's gone with that as well. Sturgeon's bid to break up UK faces new blow. Britain's top mandarin is to probe Nicola Sturgeon's use of taxpayers' money to push the doomed case for Scottish independence. Now let's have a look at this morning's papers. I'll start with the Daily Telegraph. Fury as SNP deputy puts referendum before COVID is its main front page headline.
Let's take a look through the morning papers. The front page of the Daily Mail, Sturgeon sorry for breaking own COVID law, it says, and then it's got in brackets the word again.
The Daily Telegraph, police have to remind Sturgeon of mask rules is their main headline. Have a quick rattle through the front pages of the papers. Scottish Daily Mail, Sturgeon branded liar over ferry deal. Let's have a look at the front pages. Let's start with the Daily Telegraph. It says English call off holidays.
Yeah, that story's the front page of the Daily Mail. Sturgeon border backlash is the headline. Let's take you through the morning papers. The Scotsman's headline, Swinney set for rethink as fury over exams grows.
The Times this morning goes for humiliated Swinney in bid to quell exams row.
This has been going on for years. The following newspaper review was broadcast 1 week before the 2014 independence referendum.
The Scotsman's front page, Scotland's decision is its headline. It says, with exactly a week to go before our historic referendum, the Scotsman gives its verdict on the choice before us. We are better together.
The front page of the Times, financial turmoil hits Scotland is the headline. They're talking about Lloyds announcing it'll move headquarters to London after a yes vote. Front page of the Herald, the union turns the heat on yes.
Front page of the Guardian this morning, mortgage risk if Scots vote yes. It says that mortgage lending could dry up for Scottish home buyers if Scotland votes for independence. And of course also the bosses of BP and Standard Life who voiced their concerns about the impact of a yes vote.
Front page of the Telegraph, economic fears, they say put stop to salmon bandwagon. Front page of the Daily Mail, now the union strikes back is its headline. They say that Mr Salmon's economic master plan was being torn apart, as they put it, by the leaders of Scotland's biggest industries, with the No campaign moving into the lead in the referendum race there, first mentioning that opinion poll once again.
The promotion of politically motivated newspaper headlines isn't restricted to Good Morning Scotland. It happens on TV current affairs programs, too. Smears, insults, or attacks. It doesn't matter if they are true or not. If the SNP is the target, they're promoted.
Now, you've chosen, first of all, to have a look at something in the Sunday Mail.
Yeah, and talking of John Swinney, Gordon, the Sunday Mail have put him on their front page today, calling him the Minister for Misery. This relates to remarks he made over the weekend advising children not to go guising this Halloween door to door, saying they can still dress up, have fun time, but going door to door was not a good idea during the current pandemic.
The story on the front page of the Sunday Mail up here this morning, Sturgeon COVID messages wiped, suggesting that some of her WhatsApp messages were manually deleted from her phone.
Let's take a look at some of the stories in the Sunday papers. The Mail on Sunday's got a story about second jabs.
Now, the paper quotes there being 7,638 second doses administered in Scotland compared to 445,000 in England, and raises some concerns about whether Scotland is falling behind in delivering that second dose.
The BBC Scotland website isn't immune either. In what is supposed to be online news, the third article each morning is always a free promo for newspapers and their politically motivated headlines. This doesn't happen on the BBC Wales or BBC Northern Ireland websites. The practice of promoting newspaper headlines might be justified if there was a genuine plurality within the Scottish print media. But there isn't. If you're going to promote newspaper front pages in Scotland, then you're going to promote anti-SNP messaging. It's that simple. And BBC Scotland knows this. BBC Scotland political news output is heavily dependent on newspapers. Attacks, accusations, and smears originating in newspapers regularly feed that week's news agenda.
Damaging headlines for the First Minister. Alex Salmond's credibility is being called into question by opponents. They accuse him of misleading the public about whether an independent Scotland would remain in the EU.
If folk want to know what the Telegraph, Times, Herald, or Scotsman is reporting that day, then let them buy the newspaper. The TV license should not be used to subsidize them or promote their pro-union agenda. Unfortunately, that is exactly what some BBC Scotland presenters think their job is.
The BBC website yesterday firing out stuff, Salmond liar, and that's all that really is getting picked up.
But the BBC, in that regard, is reporting what is out there within the political world. Jackie Bailey called him a liar. Wait a minute, let me read to you again the newspaper headlines this morning. The Times, Salmond on the rack, an SNP's worst day. The Mail, Salmond blow as two MSPs walk out. The Herald, bruised Salmond denies lying as rows engulf SNP. The Scotsman, SNP reveal no legal advice sought on EU entry. The Sun, EU liar. The Daily Record, Alex Omne Sambles. We would be derelict in our duty if we did not reflect that feeling.